Jerusalem, the Temple Mount, the holy city of God, yet no peace. The Bible declares there will be peace in Jerusalem. There's a roadmap for peace. Is that the peace the Bible speaks of? What does the Bible say about the road to peace for Jerusalem? I am author and speaker Richard Perry. I have written Of the Last Days, Listen I Tell You a Mystery, and The Complete Idiot's Guide to the Last Days. My website is lastdaysmystery.info. I'm calling this presentation The Biblical Road to Peace because it will be presenting what the Bible portrays as the events that will take place before and during Daniel's 70th seven, the last 7 years of this age, and before the millennium, the reign of Christ on earth. This slide shows that in 1948, Israel became a nation again after being abandoned for a long time. The next slides will show other events that the Bible prophesies, all the way to the millennium, the final peace on earth. The next thing that we see on the road to peace, as described in the Bible, is the rise of a superpower that dominates most all of the world. The title of this superpower is Mystery Babylon the Great. She is described in Revelation 17 and 18, and we also see some description of her in Jeremiah 50 and 51. She arises after Israel becomes a nation, but before the final beast empire and before the end of the age. The next kingdom we see is called a beast kingdom, and Daniel described this kingdom in many ways in most of his prophecies. In Daniel 7, he said this kingdom would start with 10 nations, 10 horns, and then ultimately have 7 heads. Same description of 7 heads and 10 horns is found in Revelation. This is the kingdom of the Antichrist. This kingdom will become world dominant. This kingdom will overpower and destroy all other powers on earth. As the fourth beast kingdom starts to develop, we see that the fourth beast kingdom and Mystery Babylon the Great coexist for a period of time. However, Mystery Babylon the Great dominates the fourth beast kingdom with its 7 heads and 10 horns, as described in Revelation 17. Another thing that we're told about the fourth beast kingdom of the Antichrist is that it hates Mystery Babylon the Great and conspires to bring her to destruction by fire, the Bible says in Revelation 17 and 18, by fire in 1 hour. But in Daniel we find it's with the help of a foreign power. Once the fourth beast kingdom with its 7 heads and 10 horns destroys Mystery Babylon the Great, we find that it becomes the only superpower and world dominant. At that time, the Antichrist is said in Daniel 9:27 to confirm a covenant with many for one final 7-year period. So after the Antichrist rises to power within his fourth beast kingdom, he confirms a covenant with many for 1/7. We find ourselves in a period of peace. This is a false peace. This peace will not last. It will end in great destruction. This peace is also called in the Old Testament a covenant with death. Halfway through the last 7-year period, an event occurs that is described in the Bible in many ways. It's referred to as the abomination that causes desolation. It's recorded in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 6. Paul talks about it as the time when the man of lawlessness will go into the temple of God and setting himself up, proclaiming that he is God. Daniel tells about this interruption in the last 7 years in his famous 77's prophecy recorded in Daniel 9, and Jesus referred to it in the Olivet Discourse. What happens following the abomination that causes desolation in the middle of the last 7 years, which is the time when the Antichrist proclaims that he is God in the temple of God? What ensues is one of the most documented periods of time in all of prophecy. It's 3.5 years of great tribulation for God's people. Daniel talked about it as a time when the Antichrist, this world leader, would conquer the saints. It's the time of Jacob's trouble for Israel. It's called a time, and half a times, 42 months, 1,260 days of great tribulation. As I mentioned, the Great Tribulation is one of the most documented periods of time in biblical prophecy. However, it does have an end. It lasts only 3.5 years, which might seem like an eternity based on what's going on. But when the 3.5 years are over, the Bible says in Daniel, the Bible says in many of the Old Testament prophets, Jesus described this event in the Olivet Discourse. It's recorded in Revelation. Jesus Christ returns, the Messiah returns, a last trumpet sounds, the angels gather up the elect of God, and the resurrection and rapture take place at the end of the age. So with all this destruction and war and great tribulation and persecution, why is this called the road to peace? Well, once Christ returns, destroys his enemies, the Antichrist and the kingdoms of the nation that are in rebellion to his plan, Christ gathers up his own, establishes the kingdom for 1,000 years, which ends up lasting for eternity. And then we truly have peace and an age of righteousness which lasts forever. So sometime in the not too distant future, this scene of Jerusalem in Israel may end up actually leading to peace, peace for Jerusalem, and peace on earth. I am author and speaker Richard Perry. These are my 2 books, Of the Last Days, Listen, I Tell You a Mystery, and The Complete Idiot's Guide to the Last Days. My website, lastdaysmystery.info, also provides a great deal of information about biblical prophecy, the end of the age, and the coming kingdom on earth.